Welcome to the deep dive. We're all about getting straight to the insights that, well, help you make sense of things.
That's the plan.
And today we're plunging into something really provocative,
Wow.
but also fundamental. It's about influence.
Mm-hmm. The art of getting noticed.
Exactly. We're looking at gaining and holding attention. And we've got two, let's say, quite different viewpoints to work with.
Yeah, quite different is putting it mildly sometimes.
Uh-huh. Right. So on one side, we've got Robert Greene, his infamous Law 6 from the 48 Laws of Power. You know the one, court attention at all costs.
Oh, yeah. Definitely infamous.
And then we're going to sort of contrast that with a more modern, maybe corporate take, thinking about Sylvia Ann Hewlett's work on executive presence.
It's a really interesting comparison, actually, because Greene often feels, well, Machiavellian, doesn't he? Very blunt.
Unapologetically so, yeah.
While Hewlett gives you this more polished framework for influence inside organizations, typically.
But the core thing, the mission for us today, is pulling out the useful bits. What does it really mean to stay visible, memorable, and crucially relevant now?
Because both of them, in their own ways, hit on this basic truth.
Yeah.
If nobody's paying attention, you can't influence anything. Or anyone.
Your ideas just vanish.
Exactly. Your brilliance, your presence, it just doesn't register. It's like the absolute first step for any kind of impact, whether that's in a meeting or, bigger stages.
Totally. Okay, so let's unpack this. Court attention at all costs. That phrase itself, it hits you, right? Feels a bit, I don't know, aggressive.
It does. At all costs sounds like maybe desperate or just pure grandstanding.
Yeah. But I suspect what Greene means, and maybe even Hewlett in her framework, is something more strategic than just being the loudest person in the room.
Oh, absolutely strategic.
Yeah.
Greene, in the 48 Laws, he's not saying it has to be positive attention. That's the kicker.
Ah, okay.
He actually champions using controversy, even getting attacked sometimes.
Yeah.
If it makes people notice you, makes you stand out from the crowd.
So negative attention is okay, or even good.
He argues it can be better than being ignored. Think about historical figures he hints at, like P.P. Barnum maybe, stirring up scandals just to keep his name out there.
Wow. So infamy is better than obscurity.
In his view, yeah. It cements you in people's minds, even if it's not for the right reasons initially.
Well, it's definitely a take. Kind of unsettling, really. How does that possibly fit with someone like Sylvia Ann Hewlett? Her work is all about credibility, gravitas.
Right, and that's the contrast that's so useful for us. Hewlett would never advise stirring up scandal. Her focus is completely on what she calls the trifecta of executive presence: gravitas, communication, and appearance.
Okay.
For her, courting attention means showing competence consistently, projecting confidence, building credibility. It's about making sure people see your contributions as valuable, as authoritative.
So deliberate, high-quality visibility.
Exactly. Not just any visibility.
Yeah.
So while Greene might say make them talk, good or bad, Hewlett's more like make them respect what you say and how you present yourself.
That really clarifies the at all costs part. It's less about recklessness, maybe, and more about a deep, maybe even cynical understanding of attention itself.
You could put it that way. It forces you, the listener, to think. What kind of attention do you actually want? And what are the long-term consequences of how you get it?
Good question. Okay, so let's dig into the first pillar Greene implies here. Staying visible. What does that even mean today? There's just so much noise, so much information. Just showing up isn't enough, is it?
Definitely not. Greene is very clear. Never let yourself be lost in the crowd. He basically says being a background player is giving up your power.
Right.
He points to figures who knew that selective visibility was powerful. Think about Machiavelli, maybe. Our sources suggest he knew it wasn't just about being there, but orchestrating moments.
Like making your absence felt sometimes? Or making a brief appearance really count?
Exactly. Imagine a leader who doesn't say much, but when they do speak, everyone listens because it's rare, it's managed, they're visible, but it's very strategic visibility.
Okay, I get that. Not just volume, but impact. How does Hewlett approach this idea of strategic visibility? Does she talk about controlling absence?
She'd agree on the strategic part, for sure. But her focus is different. It's about visibility that projects gravitas.
Gravitas, okay.
So, for an executive, that means being seen in the right places, important meetings, key presentations, contributing meaningfully when the stakes are high.
So it's less about drama, more about demonstrating competence.
Precisely. Not being the loudest, maybe, but being the most insightful, the calmest under pressure. Think about thought leadership online today. That's curated visibility, consistent quality content that marks you as an authority.
Rather than just constant updates about nothing much.
Right. So for you listening, where do your contributions actually make a difference? Are you making sure they get noticed in those key moments, or are they just getting lost? It's less about performance, maybe, and more about delivering value where it counts.
That's a really helpful way to frame it. Showing up effectively with purpose. Okay, so you've managed to get visible. People see you. What's next? Being memorable. How do you stick?
How do you go from just being seen to being remembered?
Yeah, because attention is so fleeting.
This is where I think the psychology comes in. Distinctiveness.
Yeah.
Green's Law 6 really hammers this.
Hmm.
If you're not doing something out of the ordinary, you're just
Good.
forgotten.
So be different.
Be different. He'd point to people with a unique style, a signature thing, maybe even a bit of drama, like Salvador Dali. His whole public persona was bizarre, but you remembered him. That's extreme cultivated memorability.
Done at all costs, you might say.
Exactly. The aim is to avoid being bland, forgettable. Green says you have to stamp yourself in the minds of others. Be singular, even if it means being seen as, well, controversial or a bit outrageous.
Okay, so Green leans into the spectacle. What about Hewlett? How do you become memorable in a way that builds executive presence? Surely not by being outrageous.
Definitely not outrageous in the same way. Hewlett would frame memorability through consistent, compelling communication and your personal brand.
Ah, personal brand, okay.
She'd argue you become memorable by having a clear message you stick to, or maybe a distinctive way you solve problems, or just being known as the person who stays calm when everything's falling apart.
So being known for something specific and valuable.
Exactly, like maybe you're the person who always brings clarity, or the one who can get different teams to actually work together. It's not scandal, it's consistent excellence.
Yeah.
Distinctive professional contribution.
That raises a really important question, doesn't it? How do we shape our presence, our message, so it actually sticks? It could be a unique viewpoint, maybe a story you tell well.
Or even just a specific way you interact with people. A positive attitude. Think about people you remember long after you've met them. What made them stick? And are you consciously trying to cultivate similar qualities yourself?
Making your signal echo, not just be heard. Okay, but then there's the third piece. You can be visible, you can be memorable. But what if nobody cares? This brings us to relevance, right?
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Relevance. The often forgotten, but totally essential third leg of the stool.
If what you offer isn't relevant to the moment, to the audience, does it actually give you any influence?
Nope. And both Green and Hewlett stress this, just from their different perspectives. Green's sources show that even super visible, memorable figures fall if they get out of touch, if they fail to adapt.
They become yesterday's news.
Exactly. He suggests you need constant recalibration. Make sure your act, your strategies are still relevant to how things are now. Power means being necessary, and necessity comes from relevance.
So relevance equals being essential, in a way. How does Hewlett translate that for, say, the corporate world today?
For Hewlett, relevance is all about value and purpose. You stay relevant by constantly understanding what your organization needs, what your industry is facing, what your stakeholders care about now.
So anticipating challenges, bringing solutions.
Yes, being proactive. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it means you have to keep learning, looking ahead, being willing to change course. What was brilliant last year might be table stakes today.
It's about being timely, pertinent.
Right. Making sure what you bring actually solves a current problem or unlocks a current opportunity. So for you listening, it means always assessing, adapting. Are you really keeping up? Do you understand the problems people around you are wrestling with right now?
It's definitely an ongoing thing, not a set it and forget it zeal.
Got it all.
And thinking about it, this really shows how visibility, memorability, and relevance aren't separate things. They're totally linked.
Completely interdependent.
Yeah, like if one is weak, it pulls the others down. You
Yeah.
could be super visible, maybe even notorious, like Green suggests. But if you're irrelevant, you're just noise, a distraction.
A flash in the pan, exactly. Or think about the opposite. You might have this brilliant, memorable idea, but if you're invisible, if no one knows you have it.
It goes nowhere. Doesn't get a chance.
Precisely. So real courting of attention for influence that lasts, whether you lean more Green or more Hewlett, needs that strategic blend of all three.
The three-legged stool analogy works well.
Yeah, it really does. If one leg's short or broken, the whole thing topples. You need to be seen, remembered for something valuable. And that something needs to matter right now. Green even details examples of advisors making themselves indispensable, visible, relevant, and thus memorable by solving a unique current problem for a leader.
And presumably, if the problem changed or they stopped being the solution, their influence would fade, even if they were still around.
That's the implication. It demands that continuous self-assessment and strategic action.
Which brings it back to the listener. Thinking about this, maybe reflect on where you feel stronger. Are you really visible, but maybe your message isn't quite landing? Is it memorable?
Or the other way around. Highly memorable, but perhaps not visible enough in the right circles. Or maybe you feel relevant, but aren't getting noticed for it.
Yeah. How could strengthening one of those areas boost your overall impact? Using maybe the directness of green or the polish of Hewlett, depending on your situation.
It's a practical framework.
It really is. Okay, so let's pull this together. Our deep dive today dug into this potent idea, court attention at all costs. But we've seen it's not just about ego, right?
Not at all.
It's about strategically focusing on being visible, being memorable, and critically staying relevant. And we've looked at this through the lens of both Robert Greene's, let's say, stark power dynamics, and Sylvia and Hewlett's ideas on executive presence. So what's the bottom line? What does this mean for us day to day?
Well, I think it means that getting and holding attention isn't just some magic charisma you're born with. It's actually a skill. You can learn it, you can practice it. It's a strategic game you can choose to play with intention.
Whether you're leading a team, launching something new,
Or even just wanting to be heard in a meeting. Yeah. These principles are always working. It's realizing you can have the best ideas, the best intentions, most valuable skills, but if they go unnoticed, unremembered, or seem irrelevant, they don't count for much in terms of influence.
that's a powerful thought to end on. Really makes you think. How often do we try to influence people or just get heard without really checking if we've got their attention first through these three things? Visibility, memorability, relevance.
What chances might you be missing just by being unseen or forgotten?
Or just out of sync with what matters now, and maybe where are you putting energy into one, like being super visible but maybe neglecting relevance, or maybe drawing the wrong kind of attention, going back to green.
Lots to consider there.
Definitely. Okay, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the complex world of attention. We'll catch you next time.